So I'm about to be leaving my 20s. I'm 28, I'm gonna be turning 29 in a few months, and wow, I can't believe the time has flown. I started this channel in 2013, it's now 2022, so that's 9 years, fam. So y'all have seen my 20s firsthand. I made a video about turning 21. I made a video about my quarter life crisis. I've documented my college journey. I documented chopping my hair off. I've documented my first job out of college and my initial day jobs, and then jumping off from day jobs to do my own thing. A lot of big moments. So y'all have seen it firsthand. It's pretty cool to have this like real-time documentation of my journey, and I just updated my life journey playlist if you want to get nostalgic with me and scroll back through memory lane. But it's really cool to have this picture and just, you know, self-made home movie series about how myself and my life and everything around me has progressed over the past almost 10 years. And as I approached the big 3-0, I feel a little bit of pressure. I'm not gonna lie, feel a little bit of pressure. It seems like by 30, you really are supposed to have it figured out. And I know I said this at 25, but I feel like even more so once you're out of your 20s, it's like, you done had the experiences, you're supposed to know better what's happening. But now looking back and taking stock and seeing where I am, I realized that I actually do know better. Hey, it's your girl Asante, helping you move consciously and creatively through life, so let's go. I've learned so much in my 20s. I feel like the vision of your 20s that you see in movies and pop culture is this really glamorous, fun time where you're like exercising your adulthood and going out, and everyone's really like cool and confident and, you know, shiny, sparkly time of your life. And while yes, you do have a lot of energy and there's a lot of possibility, that part is true. It's also a time of like learning a lot from making a lot of mistakes, which is not glamorous at all. It's a time of not knowing how things work, not knowing what you're capable of, not knowing what you like, not knowing what you're good at, and trying to figure those things out by brute force. I feel like being nervous and unsure about yourself and your identity and experimenting and doing a lot of trial and error is something that's painted as being for your teenage years, but I felt a lot of those feelings during my 20s. It feels like this gray middle area of adulthood where you're legally grown, you're technically an adult, but you're really just a toddler when it comes to adulting. You know, like you're just a little baby adult, you know, just like you're new here, you know what I'm saying? You're like looking, you're like, what? And you're like wobbling through like, okay, I think I gotta pay taxes. All right, gotta find a new landlord, okay. And then as you're trying to steady yourself on your little adult legs, you're also trying to figure out who you really are in the adult world and how you want to show up in it. So it's like you're trying to get your wardrobe together and put on some comfortable clothes while you're wobbling down the street, which you're now doing in heels because you're trying to look the part. It's messy, it's difficult, and it helps if you have a little support. When I was a teenager, it seemed like the adults had it all figured out. And when I got to my 20s, I was kind of waiting for this moment where I would feel like, okay, I'm grown. I know where everything is. Like, I know what's what. I've figured it out. And that moment never happened. I never had that like adult aha. I still feel like I'm figuring things out. So my takeaway from this almost decade is that my 20s has really been a time to experiment. Nothing more, nothing less, not much else really needed of this time. I mentioned this in my quarter life crisis video, but I do feel like there is pressure to have it all figured out or get it all figured out pretty quickly so that by the time you're 25 or before you're 30, you have made it, you're established, you know where you're going. And I think it's totally okay to not have figured out your lane by 25. I feel like I'm just figuring out my lane now. I've been finding my voice, figuring out what I like, figuring out what works for me, how I want to live, how I want to convey myself, how I want to show up in the world. I feel like this YouTube channel has been the epitome of your 20s. It's been all over the place. I've done college vlogs, I've done poetry, music videos and parodies. I've done some sketches. I've done more casual talking to the camera stuff. I've done little short films. It's really just been like a creative, experimental collage of whatever I wanted to throw at the screen. I tried a lot of different jobs, and whenever I approached the job, I knew what I wanted to get out of it. I was there to really learn. I was never really like invested in staying at one company over a long term. I was seeing that that was not really the path for me. I had done some freelancing before anyway, before I'd gotten into day jobs. So I always kind of knew I wanted to be an independent creative. So I was trying to gather data about what the best avenue to pursue that would be. So the stakes never felt too high. You know, I was getting to know myself. I wasn't there for anything in particular because I didn't know what I wanted yet. So I was figuring things out, and really the only way to fail would be to fail to learn from my experiences. The problems always seemed solvable. I was privileged in that I always had a next opportunity to go to when I got bored or when I stopped learning at a job. And the big life decisions that I had to make were, should I take this job or that one? Should I stay at this job or leave? Pretty binary, straightforward decisions. Life was easier then. Nina, everything is easier when you're home. And so now I know what I want. I know what I want my life to feel like. I know what's important to me. And knowing what I'm about really feels like I am operating from a more solid foundation. Like I really do feel that increase in confidence just from having those experiences and that self-knowledge under my belt. But it also raises the stakes. I'm now starting to invest in what I really want my life to be. And so I'm gonna have more to lose. And I'm not quite done with my 20s, and I'm not quite done experimenting either. I, of course, don't think that you should have to stop experimenting after your 20s, but there are a couple of key things that I want to dig more into. I was doing a lot of career exploration and figuring out what I like to make in my vocation, but I want to look more at my relationships and experiment with who I want in my life and how I'm going to show up with my friends and with my more than friends. So I still have a lot of growing and learning to do. I, of course, always want to be growing and learning, lifelong learner here. But, you know, I do feel like I have that increased sense of confidence, and I talked about this in my whole video about confidence. But that confidence from knowing your agency, knowing what you're capable of, and knowing yourself, knowing what you like, being less concerned about what other people think or living up to these external expectations, that's been a lot of my experience as I've come to the end of my 20s. I feel like 28 is like the perfect age. Like you're still young, you're still, oh, I'm in my 20s, you know, I'm not gonna have that excuse anymore pretty soon. But I do have that experience of having navigated through the institutions and knowing how the social codes work and sort of knowing a bit more who I am. And I'm feeling myself solidify and taking this from being more of a hobby to treating it like a business. You know, like I've had my fluttery, trying things here, there, what are we doing? I don't know, to really committing and saying, this is something that I want to incorporate into my identity and into my vocation for the foreseeable future. And I'm excited for my 30s because, you know, I'll have this self-assuredness and this sort of mission and vision of what I really want. And I'll be able to take that with energy still, maybe not as much as I had before, but still having energy to really pursue things in an intentional way. I've run the experiments, I have the results, I know what I'm about, and now I can execute. I'm a very systematic person. My life is a series of experiments I run. Also relaxing. Relaxing is another thing that I want to do more of in my 30s, for sure. I have been very not chill up until this point. She's been working, she's been hustling, you know, like I've been like going for it. I think I have enough space and room to relax a little bit, to breathe. A few things that I do want to do as I'm finishing up my 20s. One is that I really want to get my financials on lock. You know, like I really introduced a lot of uncertainty when I jumped off and started being an independent creative. And so I want to get that into a routine where I feel secure, I kind of know what's coming up, I know what's happening, and I feel like that's under control. That's definitely a part of the goal of being able to chill more and take more time and space in your life, because it's hard to chill and take free time to yourself if you're worried about money. It's part of why I was really hustling in my 20s. It's like that's also your time to build up a financial foundation. So trying to get my like independent business financial foundation down. And the second is that I really want to get serious about building my close relationships and investing into those relationships. I've already started to do this, but I really want it to be a focus, especially because your 30s is a time to really think about what kind of family you might want, you know, and those of us with baby making abilities are like, these eggs aren't getting any fresher, so if it's gonna happen, then let's try to make something happen, cause like we ain't got all day, so yeah, I'm gonna be thinking about that soon. So those are my thoughts as I wrap up my time in this defining decade. That was actually a good book that I read, The Defining Decade by Meg Jay, about getting things done and like moving around in your 20s. Highly recommend for anyone who's on the other side of them as I am. Shout out to the brilliant beans over on Patreon who are helping me to make these videos. Speaking of financial stability, y'all the real ones, so I appreciate you. And in the comments, let me know what you feel like defined your 20s or something that you're looking forward to in your 20s. As always, remember to live spiritedly and think creatively, and I will see you next time.